Tonight I had to break down, cardboard boxes, and I figured I'm gonna use two of my favorite knives in my collection. Now I have a third one, which is a Skiff Fugitive, but I just brought these two out to play. This is the Brown Mini FSDi in that inset lock, and this thing has been an amazing slicer. Well, I don't want to say amazing, but it's been a really good slicer with that nice hollow grind magnet cut blade. But what's been an amazing, phenomenal slicer, of course, is the Rosie, the Oz Machine Roosevelt. I just got this in. This is in that beautiful mag milled pattern. I think this is my favorite pattern by far. And this thing, if you've ever used a Rosie, you know how slicey this knife is. So I'd say between these two, I'd say definitely the Rosie wins hands down in the slicing department. But I think this, in terms of the comfort, I think definitely I would give the comfort to the Mini FSE just because it has more girth. It has a more natural kind of a handle shape versus this one, of course. You got that forward finger choil, and this is a relatively flat kind of a profile and feel in hand, which I actually really like. I really love kind of these kind of blocky, handle designs, but I think in terms of like really overall comfort, nothing really beats like a broomstick kind of a profile. It's got a lot more kind of girth in the hand. Feels the hand a lot better than, of course, the Rosie. In terms of the action, guys, man, these are neck and neck, guys. I'll be honest. Like, they're definitely different actions. This is definitely, I think, a lot more, has a more of a high treble, kind of a ting uh, acoustic going on. It's drop shutty. I think there's definitely a little bit more drop shuttier than the Oz Rosie. I'd say for the Oz Rosie, I do need to give it a little bit of a shake, but it's still very smooth. Look at that. This one has in terms of action, it does feel a little bit different than that guy. Acoustics as well is a little bit different. This one has more of like a mid, kind of a range acoustic. Not as trebly, not as high of a ting as that guy. Though I've seen other Rosies that have like a higher treble kind of an acoustic going on. But yeah, I think action-wise, they're both very unique from each other, and they're both very, very amazing. In terms of just visual aesthetics, or AK, what knife looks better? I think for me, I would say the Mini FST kind of edges it out just a little bit more. I love how this knife looks. This knife is just stunning. The milling pattern is just phenomenal. The ano on this is beautiful, like blue purple. Just everything about this visually is just very, very, just awesome. Um, in terms of the Oz Rosie, I think this knife looks really good as well. Um, I love this mag milled. I've had three Rosies in my collection: the Frag Radio, the Radio, and now the Mag milled. And I'd say by far, this is my favorite one. There's just something about this pattern that just it doesn't just look the best to me. It kind of reminds me of like the Shiro F95, the Turtle. But more than that, I love how just the way that Oz has kind of placed these mag pattern. It actually makes your fingers kind of, at least for me, it makes my fingers kind of go into those little like very shallow pockets, and it just gives it that warm kind of texture in the hand that the other ones really didn't. I just love that. Oh, it just feels, man, I just love this. This is by far my favorite Rosie. Um, Gosh, so good, so good. But yeah, I would say right now, my top three favorite, my other one's not here. I would say is the Mini FSD, the Oz Roosevelt, and then the Skiff Fugitive that I didn't bring out. It's in my room though. But yeah, in terms of just yeah, I would say those three really is kind of man the cream of the crop. I'll say the Koenig Arius that I have, the non-flipper, is a very close um, third, as well as what else? Yeah, so I'd say those four is just really at the top of my list right now. I've really enjoyed carrying and using all of them. They are all very unique in terms of how they're designed, how they feel, how they function. Their action acoustics are all very unique, and I love that there is still so much character and just uniqueness in the knife community. That's why I think, of course, there's nothing wrong with the Spydercos and the Civivis and um, the Benchmades and all that. I think those are all great, like just everyday knives. If you're just looking for a knife just for like purely like utilitarian purpose, I'd say any one of those like knives in the affordable range, man, is just is more than enough. And especially nowadays, you have so many options. You could get really amazing knives for like $100 or even less nowadays. Stuff that are coming out from China, even stuff that are coming out from the U.S. Man, they're just more and more amazing options to be had. But when you start to get into these knives, you're starting to get into these kind of the rarefied air, right? Where it's like small batch, typically American made. All the parts are sourced in the U.S. It's typically a very small operation. It could be like anywhere from one person to maybe two or like 5 or 10. It's a very small outfit. They do very small drops. They are hard to come by directly from the maker. So your best bet is really to get them in the secondary. But with that, you're probably going to pay a little over table price, and that's to be expected. With great demand comes the great price. You know what I'm saying? So it is kind of a pay to play type of situation when you start to get into these knives. But I say honestly, if you're patient and you save a little bit, it's not impossible. I did a lot of selling to get these two knives in the hand. I'm like most of y'all. I don't have just money to just spend on knives. For me, my philosophy is that if I want a knife, I gotta sell something in my collection. So over time, at least even in the past year, I've went from having like 15, 20 knives to down to like 5 or 6 knives, and these knives, even though I have less knives, I've enjoyed these knives a lot more than when I had like 20 or 30 knives at one point. I actually get to rotate it and actually carry it and use it on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? And so, I really, really come to appreciate knives when I actually use them, just because I think I think there's something to be said about tolerances and acoustics and the feel in hand and the action. But it's really when I start to actually cut with my knives and put it through its paces that I've truly, truly come to appreciate the knife for what it is. But I know I totally get it. I know that there's some folks that would rather not use their Skiff Fugitive, but maybe we'll just use like their paramilitary 2 or whatnot, and I totally get that as well. But I just, yeah, I've been, collecting knives for a long time, and you know, I just really learned, quickly that it's not until I really put something through its paces that I've truly, truly come to appreciate the craftsmanship, the tolerances, the capability of a knife, and what the design or the maker intended that knife to do when he came out with it. You know what I'm saying? So, um, gosh, the Oz Rosie, man. There's just something just so special about a Rosie. Um, I haven't seen these knives on the secondary go lower than like 750. I'm sure you could probably find a Rosie if you're patient enough. You could probably find one when like sub 800, but these have really stabilized in the secondary market around 800 to 900 depending on the configuration. And I've seen that pretty much stable like for I would say a solid year and a half, 2 years now, you know. So I think it just really, is a testament that, these knives are still very much sought after. And I know, and I totally understand why. Um, and one thing I do want to point out about the Rosie that is, to me, I don't know if this is the popular opinion, but, Oz came out with these kind of upgrade or updated pocket clips where it is a little bit more contoured, as you can see right there. It has a little bit more contouring. I actually prefer their older pocket clip style, where it was just like it was a flat profile, And I think the flat profile actually goes a little bit better visually with the overall knife because, like I said, the knife itself is very like blocky. It's very flat. It's not contoured as you can see. It's just two like flat slabs of titanium, and then you get like this contoured pocket clip which I think I definitely get why Oz did it. I think it's definitely an upgrade in a lot of ways, but I think just visually it kind of throws off the overall silhouette of the knife just a little bit. But first world problems, I'm just seriously being nitpicky. I think this is still a fantastic, awesome clip. It does its job very well, holds it in the pocket very well. It feels good in the hand. I don't feel it getting in the way of my grip. No hot spots whatsoever. So I could see why they decided to go with this contoured pocket clip because I gotta say it does feel a little bit more comfortable in the hand. Not to say the older flat style clips are not comfortable. They're actually also very comfortable. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. Now I do want to make a prediction, right? Because as we all know, as the filming of this video is 2024, we've already seen the Roosevelt XLs come out, and those are big chunky monkeys. I've handled one in person, and they are big knives. They're definitely extra large. My prediction within the next year or so is that Oz will come out with like a medium Goldilocks size between the original Rosie, the XL, and then something in the middle. Maybe he might call it like a Roosevelt large. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking it's probably going to be maybe 3.3, 3.5 inch blade, a little bit longer handle, length. But if he comes out with that, I'm going to just say it right now. It's going to be more popular than this Rosie. It's going to be more popular than the XL. It's going to be the knife that everyone wants. Guaranteed. So just mark my words. I would say and trust me, I'm not an insider. I don't know Oz. I don't know the maker at all. I've never interacted with him. But just by looking at just how popular these knives are and just the kind of the things I've heard through the in the knife community about how big the XL is. I'm sure Oz is listening to all of that, and he probably is going to come out with the Goldilocks right in the middle. It's going to be perfect, and everyone's going to want it, including me. So, anyways, enough of this guy. If you're on the fence like I was when I was, when I was kind of thinking about getting one for the first time, I was really hesitant just because I wasn't really digging the overall silhouette of the knife. But I caved in because a lot of folks were raving about this knife, and so I was honestly like a late believer, man. I didn't jump on the bandwagon until much later, and boy, I am I glad. I'm super glad that I did because I've now I'm such a huge fan of the Rosie. I love this. Like I said, this is my third one. Okay. This guy, Man, what can you say about the Mini FSDi that has not already been said? You know, I had the original Mini FSD with the brown lock that had like that button kind of compression type situation going on. And I love that one because it has so many like opening methods, right? You could use the flipper, you could use that flicking, you could use, you know, you could press down a button and just fling it out. Um, I mean, there was like so many different ways to open it, but I'll be honest, guys. Only, even though there's only like one or two ways to open this knife, I like this knife a little bit more. I won't lie. The action on this is to me is oh a little better. The acoustics on this is just beautiful to behold, and I do like how this profile of this knife. I think it does look. It gives it has a little bit more character than the original Mini FSD. Um, God, you know what I love about this knife. Going back to really appreciating knife when you really just interact with it when you use it is that, I took this knife apart, and it's one of the easiest knives to take apart and maintain. Literally, you take a T10 and a T8, and the knife came apart super easy. Has bearings in there, and that's pretty much it. I cleaned everything up, put it back together, and voila, came back together like magic. It was so easy, such an easy knife to take care of. And I love when makers use a captive pivot. Love it. That's the one thing I just one other thing that I do want to point out, that this is not a captive pivot, so you do need two tools to hold one side while you unscrew the other. No big deal, but it just requires a little bit more finessing to take this apart versus this guy. This side is captive, so you just unscrew that side and you are good to rock and roll. You know what I'm saying? One other thing I do want to point out, dude, there's two makers that do grind lines really well. The first one is Strider Knives, Mick Strider and his crew over there. Their grind lines are super wicked, but I'll say a close second has to be Craig Brown, man. From what I've heard, he does these by hand, and I love how he leaves those grind lines, man. Just something about grind lines, it just really does it for me. Oh my god, it gives a knife so much character. Jeez, man. Love it, man. So please, Craig, do not do away with these grind lines. Keep it. Please keep it, because, oh man, that is so wicked cool. And it's so cool that it looks like they kind of does a stone wash in the fuller right there. Oh man, this knife is just so cool, guys. Look at that. Love how he brings that pattern into the pocket clip, and it's just all seamless. It almost looks like the pocket clip is part of the handle slab. You know what I'm saying? Until you turn it this way. But man, just it's really reminiscent of what Halt does, what Halt did with the Spectres and their other models. Um, Man, that is just, look at that, absolute stunner. Anyways, this video is going on. This was kind of a rambly, kind of a all over the place type of video, but yeah, these are the two knives that I had brought out with me to take care of all this guy. You know what I'm saying? And it did their jobs very well. Absolutely love these knives. Gosh, nothing like a good old Rosie and a Mini FSDi, guys. Well, with that being said, love to hear your thoughts, questions. Drop them down below if you like what you're seeing. Feel free to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. All right. With that being said, you guys have a great day, and I will see you guys later.